Congratulations! You found love. Now prepare to be robbed. Welcome to the wedding industrial complex where saying the W word legally allows vendors to triple the price. Let's try an experiment. On the left, we have Jake booking a family reunion, and on the right, we have Sarah booking a wedding.
I need a room for 4 hours. Just some food and music.
Quack! That it'll be $2,000.
Meanwhile,
I need a room for 4 hours. Just food and music for my wedding.
Wedding! That'll be $12,000 plus a mandatory cake cutting fee, a breathing tax, and a happiness surcharge.
This is the wedding tax. Vendors know you're emotionally vulnerable, so they mark up services by 30% to 100%. The average wedding in 2023 was $29,000 for one day.
But what if I told you that one day is costing you over $1 million in retirement? And no, I'm not exaggerating. This is the simple math the wedding industry doesn't want you to see. Stick around, and I'll break down how the party of a lifetime might be costing you the retirement of your dreams, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Let's be brutally honest. With Valentine's Day just over a week ago, love is in the air, and for a lot of people that means wedding planning is in full swing. But the modern wedding has turned into a financial monster. That $35,000 price tag for an average 2023 wedding is up $5,000 from 2022, an increase likely resulting from inflation and the economic landscape. This isn't just a feeling you have, it's a statistical reality. Well, it's basically a perfect storm. First, pent-up demand from the pandemic created a huge backlog, leading to simple supply and demand, fewer venues, the same number of weekends, and soaring prices. Then, crippling inflation forced every vendor to raise their prices just to stay afloat. Labor costs shot up, and suddenly photographers, caterers, and planners had to charge more. So where does all that money even go? The Knot provides a breakdown. The venue alone averages over $12,800. Catering can cost around $85 to $100 per guest. A photographer to capture the memories? That's about $2,800 to $5,000. A videographer? Another $2,000 to $3,500. Flowers will set you back $2,700, and a DJ is about $1,700. The list just goes on and on, from the dress to the cake, and every single line item adds up. Now, these are averages, and they get heavily skewed by ultra-lavish, celebrity-style weddings. The median cost, what a more typical person actually spends, is much lower. SoFi reports the median cost for a wedding is around $10,000. But that inflated average has become the benchmark, the number that sets the standard and fuels the anxiety that if you're not spending that much, you're somehow doing it wrong. So how did we get here? Why on earth do we do this to ourselves? It all boils down to a mix of history, hype, and some pretty shrewd economics. We've been tricked into believing that this level of spending is some kind of time-honored tradition. Spoiler alert, it's not. Let's turn back the clock. Before the 20th century, most weddings were humble, practical affairs. In early America, you got married in your best Sunday clothes, not a custom gown, and had a simple meal with family before getting back to work. The idea of a massive, expensive party was for royals and the super wealthy. So what changed? A few brilliant marketing campaigns. First, the white wedding dress. The trend was kicked off in 1840 when Queen Victoria wore a lavish white gown. It was a fashion statement, but it slowly morphed into a symbol of purity and status that magazines and Hollywood sold to the masses. Before her, brides just wore their best dress, whatever color it happened to be. Then came the real masterstroke, the diamond engagement ring. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, the De Beers Diamond Company was sitting on a mountain of unsold stones. So, in 1947, they hired a young copywriter named Francis Garrity, who coined one of the most effective slogans in history, "A diamond is forever." This campaign was designed to invent a tradition out of thin air. They brilliantly linked the indestructible nature of a diamond to the idea of eternal love. They paid movie stars to wear them, placed them in romantic films, and created a cultural expectation that simply didn't exist before. By 1990, over 80% of engagement rings in the US were diamonds, up from just 10% in 1940. They didn't just sell a product, they sold an idea. And man, did it work. This machine, this wedding industrial complex, exploded after World War II. Bridal magazines were born. creating checklists and timelines that turned a simple ceremony into a year-long production. And now, that machine has been supercharged by social media. Your Instagram feed and your Pinterest boards are algorithmic weapons of financial destruction. They relentlessly push images of flawless, six-figure weddings, creating a powerful sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. You see a $10,000 floral arch, and subconsciously, a new standard is set. You're no longer just planning a marriage, you're producing a live event for an audience, and the pressure to perform is immense. But here is the most critical, most agitating truth of all: it doesn't even work. A study from two economics professors at Emory University surveyed over 3,000 married people and found a direct link between wedding spending and how long a marriage lasts. And it's the exact opposite of what the industry tells you. The study found that women who spent over $20,000 on their wedding were up to 3.5 times more likely to get divorced than those who spent between $5,000 and $10,000. The study's authors suggest financial stress is one of the top predictors of divorce. Starting a life together in a deep financial hole is not a recipe for happily ever after. If this is already making you rethink everything, do me a favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that more people need to hear this. And if you know someone getting married, share this video. It might be the best wedding gift you can give them. Now, let's get back to the math I promised you. The math that truly reveals what that wedding is costing you. We'll use an average of about $35,000. Imagine you're 25 years old. Instead of spending that $35,000 on a wedding, you invest it. You put it into a simple, low-cost S&P 500 index fund. The historical average annual return of the stock market has been around 10%. Let's see what happens. After the first year, with a 10% return, your $35,000 becomes $38,500. The year after, you earn 10% on that new, larger amount. This is the magic of compound interest. It's not just your money making money, it's your money's money making money. Let's fast forward. After 10 years, your initial $35,000 has grown to over $90,000. After 20 years, it's worth more than $235,000. After 30 years, it's over $610,000. And by the time you reach age 65, after 40 years of silently compounding in the background, that one-day party has transformed into $1.5 million. I want you to really let that number sink in. Over $1.5 million. That's not just a comfortable retirement. That is life-changing wealth. That is the freedom to stop working a decade early, the ability to travel the world, to help your children without worry, to live with true financial security. That is the opportunity cost. When you look at the fancy venue, the designer dress, the elaborate dinner, this is what you're actually paying. You aren't just spending $35,000. You are trading it for the $1.5 million it could have become. You're sacrificing the retirement of your dreams for the party of a lifetime. And the cruel irony is, the financial stress from that party makes the lifetime part of your marriage statistically less likely to happen. Okay, the problem is huge, the marketing is insidious, and the math is terrifying. But this is not a message of despair. It's a message of empowerment. This isn't about having a cheap wedding. It's about having a smart wedding and refusing to be a victim of an industrial complex that wants to start your marriage with a mountain of debt. You have the power to reclaim your financial future. Here's how you do it. First, the golden rule of wedding planning. Never say the word wedding. When you're inquiring about venues, caterers, or photographers, you are planning a large family party or a milestone anniversary celebration. Get the baseline quote first. Once you have a price that isn't artificially inflated, you can discuss the details. This one trick alone can save you thousands. Second, go off-peak. Just like travel, there's a high season for weddings. A Saturday in June is going to cost you a premium. But a Friday in November? Vendors are much more willing to negotiate when they're trying to fill an empty spot on their calendar. This can often cut your costs by 10–20%. Third, be ruthless with the guest list. This is the hardest part, but it's the most effective. The average cost per guest is now around $304. Do you see what that means? Cutting just 10 people from your list saves you over $3,000. Ask yourself, will this person be a significant part of our lives in 5 years? If the answer is no, they don't need a $304 dinner on your dime. Fourth, prioritize and sacrifice. Pick the 3 things that are most important to you and your partner. Is it amazing photography? A great open bar? A live band? Allocate a healthy portion of your budget there. For everything else, be merciless. No one will remember the custom linen napkins. No one cares about the expensive party favors that will end up in a junk drawer. DIY your decorations. Use a Spotify playlist instead of a DJ. Focus on what truly matters to you. not what a magazine tells you should matter. Finally, remember the median. The average cost is scary, but most people are not spending that much. A beautiful, memorable, and love-filled wedding for under $15,000 is not only possible, it is what the majority of people are actually doing. The goal isn't to have a cheap wedding. The goal is to start a marriage on a solid financial foundation, free from the burden of debt and regret. A wedding is a single day, but a marriage is, you hope, a lifetime. Don't let a marketing campaign from the 1940s trick you into sacrificing your shared financial future for a one-day performance. Ditch the fairy tale script written by a marketing department and start writing your own story of wealth and happiness together. If you're ready to build a financially strong future, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content that breaks down the money rules you were never taught. Thanks for watching.
All right, that's a wrap. I've acted in the film. Now, where's my bread? Pay me my money!
Keep your feathers on. Here you go.
Fuckers! I can buy a whole lot of bread!